and gentlemen, welcome to another show of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Hello, world.
Hey, Jeremiah, how are you?
There we go. I got my two cheerleaders there. They're full of enthusiasm. Look at that.
Hi, Mel.
Hey, how can you not be enthusiastic about after that song is wonderful. And hello, Jose. So nice to see both of you.
Amazing to see you. How are you and how is your week?
Busy and exciting and filled with excellent smokes. So I'm happy. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. The only problem is, and I mean, Jeremiah knows it, that the doctor cleared me to smoke in a couple of weeks. So in a couple of weeks, I will actually smoke my first cigar. I got to be honest, it's not going to be my first cigar, but because that morning I will have a small, mild cigar just to get my taste buds a little bit back. But my official cigar will be on Meet the Professor in 2 weeks. So stay tuned. They're already making bets. There's a pool going on what I'm going to smoke. So we're going to see who the winners are on this one.
Fun,
Actually, that's a great headline. The one and only The Professor is going to have his first cigar after what, 2 months, 3 months? It's been a long time, hasn't it?
It's going to be 75 days, the longest in my life that I've been without smoking. When I got an operation one time, it was 1 week. But other than that,
I think this would be a great opportunity to, journal it and actually see what's the difference, with your taste, how they might have changed over a few, time or so.
Melanie, I think we should have a contest and have people write in and guess the first cigar that Jose Blanco is going to smoke on the Fuente and Meerapfel show. What do you think?
I think we should do that. Absolutely.
Amazing. Where's the professor? There he is. He's hiding there in the corner. So, guys, we have an amazing show today. The last time I bumped into this gentleman was, I think, 18 years ago in Nicaragua. He is one of the coolest people in the entire industry. I love him to death. Let's just pull him in. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nick Melillo. Nick, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Super excited to be here. I appreciate it.
Well, it's great
amazing
to see Nick. And, a lot of people know it, but when I was at Hoya, I would spend a lot of time at Drew Estate, and Nick and I would talk tobacco like crazy. We would go and let's do this to this tobacco. Let's do this tobacco. He's always like a mad scientist looking at different tobaccos and trying to get the best out of it. But without a doubt, a great experience. Great to see you, Nick.
Great to see you, Jose. I'm glad you're feeling better. I think you're muted. There we go.
No,
I'm going to get in on that bet of which cigar you're going to smoke first.
It's an easy call.
I know, but it's easy, but because a lot of people know more or less what it is. I just might switch things around because it's obvious, and I've said it, but I might switch it around. And who knows? It might not even be a Fuente cigar. Who knows? It might be a Foundation cigar.
I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Anyway,
I'm a huge Fuente fan, so
I know.
I might have to get some from you. I gotta bum a few from you.
Oh yeah, I'm a big time moocher. A lot of people know that. Listen, Nick, great to have you on the show. It's a pleasure for me and all the team here. And let's start off. Basically, we know you were born in Connecticut, right? Everybody knows that.
New Haven, Connecticut. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The state that grows probably one of my favorite tobaccos, without a doubt. Let me ask you, do you remember the first cigar you ever smoked?
Jose, I do. I won't mention. I won't mention what. Well, I will, but I mean what year it was. The first cigar I ever smoked was actually a Connecticut broadleaf cigar. As you know, there was a lot of brands from Connecticut. So it was an FD Grave & Son cigar. Because of all this stuff going on with the FDA, I don't mention exactly what year that was, but I actually went to high school with one of the grandchildren of FD Grave & Son, Steve Grave. So actually snuck out of the house, smoked one, came back to the house, and my mom could smell it. And she said, "What are you doing? You smoking cigarettes?" I said, "No, Mom. I'd never smoked cigarettes. I smoked a cigar." And that was the first one. And then the next time I smoked a cigar was actually in Rome, Italy, which was Monte Cristo #4. And then my senior year of high school, I was pretty much almost exclusively Opus X, because Opus X, that was 96 when I was a senior in high school. I think Opus just came out the year before, and me and my brother were in love with Fuente Opus X. So that was
you've always had good taste. A lot of people don't start in the industry the way you started, to become a master blender, a cigar geek when it comes to wrappers and things like that. But you started in the retail business behind the counter. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the senior year of high school, I had graduated, and it was this definite transition period in my life. And I had fallen in love with cigars by 96. I graduated, and I said to myself, one of the best jobs I could think of at the time was working at a cigar store. So at that time, 96, as you know, it was the height of what we call the cigar boom. So I used to go every Friday into a shop called the Calabash Shop in Hamden, Connecticut. My brother and I would go every Friday and get our cigars for the weekend. And I'll never forget, there was 2 ladies working behind the counter, and they were always just overwhelmed. There was lines out the humidor. I could just see they were constantly overwhelmed, and the line to check out was almost a half hour long. So this one particular Friday, I finally made it to the front of the line, and I said to one of the ladies, Mary Russo is her name. She became my second mother. I wrote down, I said, "Mary, I know every cigar in that humidor. I know all the blends, the price points. Here's my number and my email." Email had just come out, and I would love to work for you guys. That was the summer of 96. I didn't hear from them all summer. And a week before I started university, I got a call, and they said, "We'd love for you to come run the humidor." And they put me in charge of the humidor. They put me in charge of ordering new brands. As you know, there was a ton of brands in 96. They had just come back from the RTBA at the time, and they gave me literally a couple garbage bags full of cigars. And they said, "Let us know what you want to bring in the humidor." And they placed their trust and confidence in me to run that humidor. So that's really how I got my start.
So how many years were you there?
So I was there. So 96, I started school for international business at a local university called Quinnipiac. And whenever I wasn't in class, I'd work the humidor. And on the weekends, I was there from 96 to 2000. And then I moved to Italy after I graduated college. And then I came back a year later to work on my master's degree, and I would work the store there. So probably about, 4, 5, 6 years in total. Yeah, in the shop. And probably in 97, I think it was 97, 98. That's when I first met someone from a small, obscure company called Drew Estate. And we took in a cigar in, I think, 97, 98 called La Vieja Habana, which Drew Estate was having made by Nick Perdomo at the time. I really liked that cigar, brought it into the humidor, did an event with John Drew one Saturday in 97, 98. And then from that period of time, John and I just exchanged emails and contact, and we kept in touch over the years. And from 2000 to 2002, I circumnavigated the globe, traveling. I knew 2 things when I graduated school. I wanted to travel. I love travel, and I love cigars. So they just it wasn't a plan, but it just sort of happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I know part of the story. So going to 2003, so what, Jonathan comes up and he makes you an offer you can't refuse, and then you join Drew Estate?
Yeah, so I moved to, I got another job in 2002 working for an Italian Renaissance art history tour via a friend that studied Renaissance history at Dartmouth. She set up with her mother a tour for high school students from Siena to Florence to Rome. So I was offered that job and I couldn't turn it down. So that job went from about May to September. And then I said to myself, I can't go back to a classroom. So I bought an around the world ticket. It took me from Paris to India to Thailand. I went down the Mekong River into Laos, Vietnam, China. When I got to Japan, John and I had been communicating on my world tour here and there via email. And John called me up when I was in Japan and said, listen, I want you to come down to Nicaragua, be my right-hand man. You know, you'll be full-time down there, learn the production, shipping, everything to do with our Nicaraguan operations. So after almost traveling around the world for almost a year, I landed in the States, visited my parents, told my parents I had eloped on a beach in India in the process, and that I was moving to Nicaragua. And I moved to Nicaragua in March of 2003.
Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time together when I was at Hoya, and it's a great experience. We learned from each other a lot, and I have the utmost respect. So you spent from 2003, you went through a lot. You learned a lot about the process of tobacco. Really amazing, because like a lot of people say, it's when you think about tobacco, wrappers, fillers, and binders and cigars, you think Fernandez, Hernandez, Rodriguez, Reyes, Perez Carillo, Fuente, things like that. And all of a sudden, this Italiano comes to Nicaragua and makes his name for himself. And
Melillo.
Huh?
It's a Melillo.
Melillo.
But in
Melillo.
Yeah.
We
Jose,
say Melillo, but it's, I know.
Going down to Nicaragua 2003, I was 24. And now I'm amongst all these amazing makers that I had read about, so just to be amongst them. Before I talked to Jonathan, my plan was next to go travel to Central America, because I wanted to learn how to roll and bunch cigars. Like that was the next step. That was my dream. And, moving to Nicaragua and being able to learn about tobacco, I'm a sponge. I still am a sponge. I'm always learning. And I was fortunate to be able to learn from so many amazing people in this industry. So, yeah.
We all know a lot of people have a lot of nicknames for you when it comes to broadleaf. And we know it's your favorite wrapper, but it isn't because you were born in Connecticut, because I mean Connecticut has other types of wrappers and binders. Why is Connecticut broadleaf so close to you? And even when you come out with your first cigar, it's with a Connecticut broadleaf, if I'm correct, right?
No, I ended up that was the second cigar. My first cigar was Huente, which was 100% Nicaraguan.
Oh yeah.
Broadleaf particularly, it's because I have a personal connection to it, Jose, because both of my grandfathers smoked Connecticut broadleaf cigars. Again, there were so many brands up into the end of the 90s of Connecticut cigar brands. F.D. Graven's Son, Topper, Christopher's still around, Topstone Cigars, Farnham Drive. My great-grandfathers all smoked Connecticut broadleaf cigars. So that aroma, the sweet, earthy aroma, is just one that's always stuck with me and I have great memories with it. But, being from Connecticut, and Connecticut being one of the, few cigar tobacco growing states, was always just pretty cool to me, growing up. And I didn't realize how when you're growing up in a place, you kind of want to get away from it sometimes when you're younger. When I'm in Nicaragua and everybody, asks, "De donde eres? Where are you from?" And you say Connecticut, cigar makers know Connecticut. So I don't necessarily believe, in tobaccos. Certain tobaccos are better than other tobaccos. But I guess, yeah, broadleaf would be one of my favorites, but it's definitely because of the aroma. It's rich, it's got great body, and I think it's just got this natural sweetness to it that is just really stimulates all of, your olfactory, your palate, just everything I really want in a cigar.
Hello, and I completely agree. I love that broadleaf. But right now, be sure to get all of your questions in so that we can nail the professor. And Nick, you are absolutely, you can nail the professor. I think that you would be able to nail the professor. So if you want to ask a question, you can nail the professor. So get your questions in there.
All right, I'm going to try to nail the professor.
Nick,
Professor.
Nick,
Yes, sir.
You got to do that again. When Melanie came on, you were like, yeah. So now I'm gonna get Jose on, and I want you to go, yeah, in the same way. All right, let's try this.
Yeah. Nick, so after 2003, you were with Drew Estate, if I'm not wrong. What was it, 2014, I think, right?
Yeah, May of 2014.
Okay,
I ended up
got that
leaving
right.
Drew Estate. Yeah.
So all of a sudden you start, I'm sorry, I forgot. I remember it was Guaguense, because to a lot of people, I had to explain what the Guaguense was, living in Nicaragua for 2 years. And I have a painting with the Guaguense.
I got my Guaguense mask, Jose.
Yeah.
See?
I know. And I have a painting of the Guaguense that Jesse, the only oil painting.
I remember. Yeah, that's a beautiful
and I mean, we've been offered a lot of money for it, because it's, first of all, was the first oil painting that Jesse ever did. And it's beautiful because it has the Guaguense, it has the girl that's dancing. It's a beautiful painting. So 2014, you leave Drew Estate, and then you start Foundation. And it was at with Eduardo Fernandez, correct? And Arsenio?
Yeah, so our first brand, Guaguense, Jose, I really wanted to do something that showed my love for Nicaraguan tobacco, and also this place that has become my second home, and really what Nicaragua, the heart and soul of Nicaraguan culture. And there's nothing, from living in Nicaragua, the imagery is all over the place. And any Nicaraguan, whether their political affiliation or religious affiliation, every Nicaraguan identifies with the Huelwense, which is, for those who don't know, a dance that's existed for 500 years in Nicaragua. It's actually recognized by UNESCO as a cultural treasure of the world. So I said, what better to really show what my love for Nicaragua is all about through Huelwense and 100% Nicaraguan blend. So I do make that at Topsa in Nicaragua, 100% Nicaraguan filler binder wrapper, which is I've always worked with 100% Nicaraguan blends, but nothing that came to market until that time. So the Huelwense was the first all Nicaraguan blend that I've actually worked on. So,
Nick, talking about Nicaragua, there's a gentleman who just got on the show here who spent quite some time in Nicaragua himself. I'm sure he'd like to say.
Hello, Nick, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir.
It's good to see you.
Listen, it's a true honor and pleasure.
No, the honor's mine. Let me tell you, listening to your story from the beginning and how you started and how you were retailing and all the stuff, and you're a world traveler, then I start understanding a lot of your presentations, your labels, and everything, how intricate and really how fascinating they are to me. I love them. I didn't know the story behind it, but I know it's part of your soul from your travels and your experiences. And definitely, I just wanted to say, I say young man because for me, relatively speaking, you're a young man, but you've been around for a while, and I am so happy you're in the industry. You have contributed so much, and it's good. And as amazing as your past has been, I know your future is going to be even greater. So welcome to Meet the Professor, and I'm so happy you accepted our invitation. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor. Thank you.
Well, Papo, what's up? Good to see you.
How are you? Hey, you're getting weak. Your questions are so soft now. What's happening?
No. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Nick and I go way back.
Yeah.
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 He knows all the dirt, Carlito.
I know. Remember, I've always told you I know where all the bodies are buried. Okay. Nick, I'm going to ask you something that we've asked a lot of manufacturers. Why do so many companies fail?
Whew. That's a good question. Why do so many companies fail? I think they have a lot of misconceptions about the cigar business in general. It's not like any other business, and I think a lot of times you can't buy, authenticity, and you can't buy passion. This is not an industry. I think if you just go in with a business mind that you're just going to make, some money, you have to have passion. You have to have a real love of the leaf. And even if you have that, it's, people I think get the wrong misconception about our industry because we're enjoying cigars. People that buy cigars, they see it. We're doing this, right? It's a leisurely sort of pastime, but behind the scenes, man, it's days, it's nights, it's weekends. It's a little tough for people to realize it. So I think when they get into it, they don't realize that when they're getting into it, and it becomes a big challenge. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's that. Let me ask you something. Person dead or alive that you would love to smoke a cigar with?
It would be my father's father. So his name was Pascual Melillo. He passed away when I was 15, and really just before, I really started getting into cigars. And he was my mom's father was a big pipe smoker and also a cigar smoker. But my dad's father, Pascual, he was 100% Connecticut broadleaf. He smoked Top Stone Extra Oscuros, and I never really got to sit down with him and smoke a cigar. And I have, I would love to just sit down with him, smoke a cigar. I have his World War II photo album. It's about this thick. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge. I just got done digitizing it last week, and it's unbelievable. But I would have loved to sit and smoke a cigar and get the backstory of all those pictures. So it would definitely be him.
I thought if I would be a betting man, I thought it was going to be him because I know that last week you posted, and throughout the years you posted a lot of photos of him. I think it was the Army, or he was Army, right?
So I think you're thinking of my other grandfather. He just passed away last April. He was 95. He fought in Okinawa. He was a Marine.
He was a Marine.
My other grandfather fought Army in Europe. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this. You walk into a shop. What's the thing that you dislike the most about a shop?
Whew. Do I only get one thing? Or I get a few?
No, you can go into detail.
I mean, just a lot of the fundamentals, right? Ashtrays being full, humidor, maybe shelves being empty, or the displays not looking right. Guys that maybe sit behind the counter and don't greet you when you walk in. A lot of the fundamentals. Jose, I remember the people that I worked for at the Calabash shop. They ended up selling the store in about 2005. There was a couple of people that ended up buying the shop afterwards. And I remember going into the shop after being in Nicaragua for almost 3 years. I walked into the shop, and I walked in the humidor. The guy behind the desk was just staring at a computer. I ended up finding bugs in some of the boxes. The ashtrays were filled. It was just, those are just fundamentals, man. If you don't have the fundamentals down, you can't expect to have, I think, a successful business or a shop.
How about the one with the rug, so much dirt on it you can grow corn?
Yeah, I mean, come on. To me, if you got to just have strong fundamentals and do the fundamentals well. And again, it's even going to be a challenge doing that. But if you're not doing that, it's going to be a rough road to success. And, it's so important for the retail environment, for, new smokers, people getting into this industry. I think, customer service, greeting people when they come in, assisting them in the humidor. I think it's crucial for our industry just to welcome, new smokers, because a lot of times new smokers go into cigar. It's very intimidating, for someone that doesn't smoke cigars very often or is new to our industry. Walking into a cigar shop or to a humidor can be very intimidating. So I think it's really important, that customer service is the focus of each shop.
Yeah, could you imagine a newbie walking into our good friend Kevin Page in Danbury, Connecticut, where you're going to see 2,800 facings?
That it's overwhelming. It's completely overwhelming. So, if it's cliquey or you don't have someone that's very personable behind the counter, you could literally turn somebody off to our whole industry. And if you don't get them the right cigars, right? If you have a newer smoker and you put, a new smoker and they get a double Ligero, then they're going to think that's what all cigars are. So it's so important, customer service. I can't stress it enough.
Talking about customer service, Nick, it's time to nail the professor. And if our guests of honor nail the professor, it's a double whammy for the show. All right?
Okay. So I can ask him anything cigar related?
Even non-cigar related, as long as you nail them.
All right. I'm going to get you, Jose. Can I do this now? Are we ready to go?
No. Let's get Melanie to present it. All right. Let's go. All right. Thank you.
Yay! And usually we're going to come up with some music about now, but as for now, you guys are about to nail the professor, starring Jose Blanco. Hey! All right. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I think that we should just let Nick go ahead and try and go for his question first. This is very interesting.
Let's do it. Ready, Jose? What is the meaning of Connecticut?
Oh, that I don't know.
That's a tough one. I nailed it.
Yes, you got him.
I get a prize?
Hell yeah.
Oh my God, that was easy.
Yeah, we'll send you a bubblehead and a half smoked opus from Carlito.
Wait. That is not qualified within the rules. No. It's not. It has to be a tobacco question to nail the professor. That's in the rules, and all the disclaimers are there. So,
Carlito,
I don't think we should be so generous with the bobblehead.
Even with our guests of honor.
Our guest of honor has our phone numbers. He has everything. Get anything he wants.
You know who has a question? Alex from Canada. He wrote to me yesterday on my WhatsApp.
You nailed him, bro.
I'm gonna be able to nail you. So, Alex should have a question there, right?
You didn't ask me that question. You wouldn't nail me.
Yes,
you would have not nailed me.
Well, what is the answer,
hold
really?
on.
Nick, what's the answer?
To me,
yeah. Do you know the answer?
The best tobacco and beautiful women.
I think you got the first one right. I don't know about the last one.
No, listen. Before we go further, I'm going to interrupt. I know it's nail the professor and give people a chance so Melanie could look at the questions. I just want to say we had this question come up before. People talk about Connecticut. They think of Connecticut as just being rappers, and it's good to see someone who has come into the industry who has a understanding of the past. And I had said that Connecticut was a big producer of cigars, binder, filler, and wrapper, 100% Connecticut cigars. And you mentioned all the big names and, personal friends with Dave Topper. I knew, all the people in Connecticut from the old days. And a lot of people don't understand that Connecticut tobacco is amazing. Not only with the shade wrappers, but also the sun-grown tobaccos that has the broadleaf or the other seeds they're growing. It gives you a certain texture that if you select it, you could get binders, fillers, and wrapper, and no matter where you use it, it contributes something positive.
True that.
Well, and also Connecticut's not only Connecticut. You have Connecticut broadleaf, and Habano that for many years has been grown there too. Which I'm a big fan of Habano, Connecticut. I love it.
That's a great tobacco also. Connecticut is very unique, and Connecticut, it's the river valley, right? The Connecticut River.
Yeah.
The Connecticut River is 406 miles long. So if you go up to the northeastern part of New Hampshire, you'll see two lakes, Lake Connecticut 1 and Lake Connecticut 2. It comes down, it becomes the border of Vermont and New Hampshire, cuts through Massachusetts into Connecticut, and then empties into the Long Island Sound. That used to be a lake at one point after the last glacier period. So it was called Lake Hitchcock. It was a very gigantic finger lake. And what happened was, when the lake bed filtered down as you had the warming period, all of this sandy loam soil filtered down this huge lake to 30,000 acres north of Hartford, Connecticut. And it's really that sandy loam soil. It really allows for water filtration because you don't have a lot of clay, right? So the water, you have about this much sandy loam, and then you have a little bit of clay at the bottom. So the water gets to filter through that sandy loam, and the tobacco plant, the roots get to go really deep. And that really just makes for great black tobacco, cigar tobacco. So it's great to have been, from Connecticut. And I just love everything about the history of Connecticut and Cuba. And, I just got an old Topstone box, Carlito, from 1915, and it says Clear Havana. It was all Cuban fillers and Connecticut wrappers.
How about Carl? You remember the name Carl Berger?
Yes. Yeah. But why do I know that name?
Carl Berger was he owned National Cigar. I'm talking about my father, Stanford
National Farnham Drive.
Yeah. Okay. This a lot. Yeah. Listen, you just bringing back memories, all right? So I don't want to go there because, it opens that Pandora's box of memories, of passion.
I know. That's why I want to sit down with you. I want to sit down with you one day and go through all these memories.
Yeah, I remember the old days of going to Connecticut with Frank Zera and going to the farm. And Carl Berger was really, because he had the control of certain tobaccos and farms. He went crazy that I was up there with Frank Zera going to visiting farmers and everything. It was a beautiful time. There's such a history of tobacco and culture in Connecticut that so many people now worry about. We talk about south of Miami, but there's a whole history in the United States, eastern United States of America, for cigars and tobacco.
Right. Berger, I visited National in 2014. I flew to their offices just to see. It was like going back in time. They had still there. Yeah,
because Mr. Berger's been gone for a long time, I believe.
Yeah, they ended up selling, but this in 2014 they had it yet, and I got to see the machines there. Farnham Drive was a big Connecticut brand, and they actually made a brand called Blackhawk, Chief of the Broadleafs. That's what it said. It said Blackhawk and then Chief of the Broadleaf. Yeah.
And thank you for bringing us back to that part of that era. And for, it's just great to reminisce and for people to know that there's such a deep history and there's so much passion and families and so many names that people forget that I think has to be documented. I mean, these were the greats of the greats.
Yeah. William Dunn. God,
of course.
Yeah.
But his name is still around. His name's still around, and I'm glad it is. His name is still around. Us as tobacco buyers, tobacco clients, we know the name very well.
Yeah. It's a rich history. It's a rich history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right.
You know what? I was getting concerned. You got nailed really bad, and I just was trying to protect you.
Thank you, Jefe.
I just want to throw a block and give you more time to recapture yourself because I know it's got to take you down emotionally. You got to be now. I don't know. You're gonna the rest of your day is gonna be screwed up. I don't want to say that. It's gonna be screwed up because you got nailed. You got nailed.
Well, if it was Nick,
But now he knows. Now he knows. Right,
Mel?
Jose?
Mel,
Now you
question,
know.
Mel.
Now you know. So you're armed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, enough of this bullshit.
All
Let's get
right.
back to the questions.
Great.
Melanie, start asking these questions before a fist fight breaks out here.
All right. Ferment small amount of tobacco for home growing. He heard bourbon barrel aging is an option, or build a kiln. Does this make sense?
I didn't hear bourbon aging. Well, I heard the bourbon part, but
So, okay, the question is, ferment small amount of tobacco for home growing. Should you ferment small amount for home growing? And then he said he heard bourbon barrel aging is an option, or build a kiln, KILN. I got another one.
Okay, guys, I got a question for everybody. Is this a case of Melanie not reading the question properly, or Jose who can't hear it? Post your answers on the chat.
All right, let's go for Alex then. Now, the professor, what is the scientific reason for some tobaccos being more prone to molding than others? For example, Brazilian Mott Matafina molds more easily than Ecuador Habano.
So that I'm gonna take this down to my 2 minutes. I got two experts on this one, Carlito. Well, I could say Jeremiah also on tobacco, Carlito, and also Nick. This is my 2 cents on that. I don't think it's about the seed. I think it's basically about the humidity and also about the temperature. Why is mold produced? Which mold and plume is one of the big arguments of all times on Facebook and every forum. It's totally two different things. Plume is the crystallization of the essential oils on the wrapper, basically. But why is mold produced? Mold is produced because of high temperatures and an excess of humidity. So it doesn't matter if it's in Indonesia, if it's Cameroon, if it's Habano, if it's Connecticut broadleaf. If you have a high temperature and you have a lot of heat, you're going to produce mold, and it sometimes could look greenish, it could look bluish, and then like a white foam too. So I would like the three of you guys to say I'm correct: Nick, Jeremiah, and Carlito.
All right, I'll start. I agree with you 100%. I would maybe just add the propensity of the tobacco to absorb and to release humidity. If those tobaccos have a hard time bringing in humidity and releasing it, Cameroon, for example, it's a tobacco where, let's say, it brings in less water into the leaf less easily. It dries out easier. The propensity to mold is a little bit more complicated. I think tobaccos which have the absorbing power will possibly tend to mold easier if they're in that environment like you just spoke about. Let's see what Carlito thinks.
Really, me?
Wait, how do I do this? Here we go.
You want me to answer that? No, honestly, I'm not a scientist, but there's a way to find out through a scientific laboratory and research. But I think we just love the leaf, you love to enjoy. One thing I could suggest, Jose, you're right. Absolutely. Jeremiah, you're absolutely right. You added another dimension, which you're absolutely right. You surprise me sometimes, young man. You've learned a lot about tobacco over your years, but sometimes it's just a simple thing. I don't know if this is the case, because I think Jeremiah hit it on the nose. Certain tobaccos require more humidity because it takes more time to absorb them. Other require less. But if you have them in a humidor, and it depends the position of the humidor, which one is receiving more humidity. And that could be, that's just a suggestion. I don't know. I cannot tell you why, because that's something that takes scientific testing. But it could be also just a simple thing as repositioning them in different humidors and everything. Because as Jeremiah mentioned, Jose mentioned, all tobaccos require different humidifications for them to be in their optimum level. And just as Nick has mentioned before about tobaccos and everything, I tell you, he talked about Nicaraguan tobacco. He talks about Connecticut. the wrappers from Chateau La Fuente need to be in 63 to 65% relative humidity to be able to be enjoyed. Any more humidity than that, they go out. The taste is muted. It's strange. Yet cigars of Cameroon need to be 68, 70, and maybe it could be a little higher depending where you're smoking because it dries out really quick. So I think a lot has to do with trial and error. You have to do what's best for you, and maybe it's a situation where humidification can really help. It separates the cigars.
Nick?
The question with Matafina compared to Ecuador, I would say, Matafina is a sun-grown, heavier, not that the Ecuador isn't, but you have more cloud cover in Ecuador. It's a thinner leaf. The vein structure is much thinner, whereas Matafina is going to absorb more moisture. Like Jeremiah said, it's thicker vein structure. So you could have, if it's exposed to higher humidity, it's going to absorb a lot more humidity in the vein structure, in the leaf, in the central vein, which opens you up to more potentials for mold. Whereas, you can have the same thing, right, with Ecuador, but it's just thinner, especially with higher priming, Ecuadors, but it's thinner, and it's the cellular structure of the leaf is thinner. So Matafina is, more of like a kind of that, not quite like broadleaf, but more that heavier Maduro style, leaf. That would be my response.
All right, Nick, we've come to my favorite part of the show, and everybody knows yeah, exactly. And you're in deep trouble, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day. Melanie's hotspot. Melanie, your show.
Dun, 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 dun. This is where I'm never going to make a song. I'm always going to just sing it because I don't know. I have an excellent question for you today. Actually, I have lots of questions now that I've learned so much more about you, but I'm going to start with, Hollywood, movie making. How did you enjoy your experience with making the movie Hand Rolled?
That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Those guys actually came up to the Connecticut River Valley, so we got to get a lot of the shots. Some of the shots, I should say, you see in the film are actually from Connecticut and from the valley. So it was great to, work with people that were passionate about telling the story about our industry, and especially our challenges with, the FDA and government regulations. And we really needed a film like that to, really help tell our story. So it was great. We ended up doing an interview in a full barns of Connecticut broadleaf. So we set up the whole, it was in September, I believe, and we did the interview inside a Connecticut broadleaf.
All right, stop. Nobody's interested. Melanie, you're supposed to make him blush. You're supposed to make him get off the show. The hell's wrong with you? This is Melanie's hotspot. This is not the professor, blah, blah, blah. All right? Now let's make this happen.
All right. Well, my favorite question lately is definitely, if you woke up as the opposite sex, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Oh my God.
He got red. There you go, Jeremiah.
Now we're talking.
If I woke up with the honesty, what would be the first thing I would do? I don't know.
Are you really thinking about it, or are you just not sure how to say it on TV?
Complain.
Do I look the same way though? If I was attractive, I would probably still go smoke a cigar. That would be the first thing I would do. There's nothing greater than a woman smoking a cigar.
Now, that's true. That is true. You're exactly right. I like that. Oh, my goodness.
That was a good one. I wasn't prepared for that.
What are some of, I know Carlito already asked you about some of the things in a cigar lounge that happen. I guess for you as a manufacturer is probably different, but when you're in a cigar lounge and you're experiencing, what's probably the most awkward experience that you've had in a cigar lounge?
Awkward experience that I have in a cigar, I would probably say is having a woman hit on me pretty hard in a cigar lounge.
What was the line she used?
It wasn't more of a line, but it was sort of like she wouldn't leave my side. and I think her significant other might have been around, so it made it even more awkward. So
Yes.
I don't know what they were into, but yeah, that's a little
Oh.
awkward.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely awkward. All right. Okay, so what is one of your guilty pleasures?
Guilty pleasures. I would say pizza, bacon and onion pizza is my guilty pleasure. So I live in Little Italy in New Haven, Connecticut, and we actually claim to make some of the best pizza in the world. For those that don't know, there's a number of ovens here from the 20s, and they make there's a recent documentary out called Pizza, a Love Story. If you can find it, it's actually all about Little Italy and New Haven and about the pizza here. But unfortunately, I live way too close, and that's how I gained my 30 pounds, just pretty much cannolis and pizza.
So is pineapple on your pizza a deal breaker?
It's called a sin in my family. It's called this mortal sin. You know, in Nicaragua, sometimes people eat pizza with ketchup. That's beyond a mortal sin. So, yeah.
Okay, what about ranch dressing?
On pizza?
Uh-huh.
That's another mortal sin. Yeah. No. You know, the original pizza here, we call it a beets. It's with an A in the front. A pizza. It's traditionally it's just with sauce. So there's actually no mozzarella on it. It's just tomato sauce and grated cheese. So if you ever go into a place, you know, the hardcore, because that's how it really started, right? You had poor immigrant Italian, you know, families that didn't have money for food. So that's really what sustained a lot of families, especially here in Connecticut, turn of the century. So that was always known as the classic. That's how their true purists and traditionalists will eat it, just with sauce and grated cheese. And that's how you know whether whether somebody really knows how to make a pie or not. You know that pizzeria, if you just get sauce and grated cheese and that's good, then you know it's going to be, they're going to have good pizza all around. So
nice. I don't get to eat much pizza, but if you had, what kind of superhero would you be if you had one choice? What superhero would you want to be?
Growing up, I was a Spidey man, hardcore. I used to have the Spider-Man glasses, and I used to wear a 6-shooter. So it was a combo of like John Wayne and Spider-Man. That was my thing. But Spidey man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You did awesome.
My pleasure.
All right, this is the first time I watch our show and get hungry at the same time.
I know.
And I have to say, I agree. I spent a while working down in the Connecticut Valley, and we would go have pizza in the old ovens. Oh my goodness. I agree. I think it's the best pizza I've ever had in my life anywhere.
Can we get one?
I live next to Italy.
We'll buy one, I'm sure. We need to get one down to Florida. I'm pretty sure that Rocky is planning to put a pizza oven in his new warehouse. So, okay, Nick, you have to come to Naples. Yeah, we can definitely.
I'm ready.
All right, we'll crash Rocky's place for pizza now. Yeah. Sounds good. All right, Professor, you have 5 minutes left to wrap this up.
Nick, what do you think are things that we could do better to get more people to join the CRA and support the CRA that has done a great job? And to be honest, it's our last line of defense.
That's a great question, Jose. I don't, I'm really indebted to the CRA and, gentlemen like Carlos, Fuente, Rocky, all these guys. I've started my own business and it's been a blur the past 5 years. So unfortunately, I don't know where the time has gone, and I haven't really been super active in the CRA besides supporting it, with funds here and there. And I think they've done an incredible job. Just thinking about what was going on in 2008, 2009, really no one in Capitol Hill knew much or were educated at all about handmade premiums. So just reflecting back on that time till, now the education level in Capitol Hill is definitely so different than it was. I think it's a challenge to get, people involved, final consumers involved. I would just say, I think more active media, social media. I can't say that I see too much on my social media streams as far as what the CRA is posting, maybe, more educational pieces, maybe with each cigar makers, really, maybe videos that they can set out to all of their customers, each company a part of the CRA. It's really a good question that I'm probably going to need more time to really think about it. But I mean, overall, it's tough for me to speak on it because I can't say I really should have too much of a voice because I haven't been, active in the daily of it. And I really am indebted to, Carlito and all these guys that are doing it day in and day out. So I thank you, Carlito, for all the work you've done. And I'm going to have to think about that one a little bit more, Jose. I wish I had a better answer, but it's a tough one, right? Because you can't, at the same time, tobacco is such a taboo amongst politics. So it's tough because politicians don't want to support. What is the political advantage for them supporting tobacco? So it's almost like you guys, I know you guys have done a lot in the public eye, but I think behind the scenes is where you guys have really done most of the work, right?
No, absolutely, you're absolutely right. Listen, I think the question that Jose asked is it's an important question for us all to analyze as an industry, everyone. And you are a supporter and you participate in doing the things that you do is what's most important for this CRA, that you continue to do things with integrity, family business. This is what the CRA is really about. Of course, everybody benefits. The international companies, whether they're owned from China or they're owned from whatever they call that company up there, very far north, that's not part, it's not a family business any longer.
Right.
But it's about family. It's about for us in North America. For us, CRA is a North American organization, but it really is something that it supports people, an ideology worldwide where you can be able to enjoy a product that's legally available. And we now have cigar rights to the world. But I think that everybody's doing their part. I think that the retailer, as Mr. Jose Blanco said many times, should be more involved because it's their lives. The retailer is the one. The whole idea of CRA was to be a consumer organization, not a manufacturer organization, or not the manufacturers who are going to be in the background to support. We started inviting consumers, and we never got the support to get the amount of consumers. But we still have that hope. It should be a consumer organization and have the clout and the power like the NRA. It's about consumers. It's about their freedoms and their rights and their choices. Yeah. But you contribute and you doing what you do is what this organization fights for. Fights for the family businesses, the brick and mortars, people like yourselves, Nick, who are entrepreneurs, and we want to protect the possibility that many more young Nick Melillos will come in this industry in the future when I'm gone, when Jose's gone, or Jeremiah, maybe you gone, that the stage has been set where it's the American way. It's a way of entrepreneurship. It's like you talked about your grandfather on both sides and everything, how they contribute to this great land for freedom and everything. And that's what we, as CRA, as a board member, that's what we defend. And that's what I believe in. And I think it's such an easy thing to support. We just need to get the voice on. You're absolutely right. And I appreciate, and you're right. You're right. There's really no answer. And
it's interesting that you say that with the retailer, because now all these these examples in my mind of just how out of touch some of the retailers are with this fight, because we're the ones behind the scenes that are, we're facing deadlines in September, and that's a very real thing. And I heard some retailers say, oh, well, September was never going to happen anyway, and it's all BS. And I said to that retailer, do you know how many tens of thousands of dollars I've spent on legal representation for this? I mean, just no concept, the retailers, of any of that. And they're sitting in the stores kind of preaching from their kind of, high horse, saying these things with no distress involved up into September. It's very difficult to explain for people to realize. I was just stressed out every single day leading up to September. That my business that I've been fighting for 5 years in this industry I've been in, and then I look at a family like yours and generational families that have been in this, and it's all being jeopardized. That people that have no idea.
It could have gone down the drain. We're
surrounded by this,
would
right?
have 30 or 40% of every retailer in the United States, and so would have their business. And as Jose Blanco has been really letting people be aware of, retailers are the one that have the access to the consumers. We don't.
Right.
But I do understand what you're saying, that now there's a different platform or different possibility through social media and everything to make people aware. We did not do a good job as CRA. We did the best we could with the resources we had, with the information we had, what we have. Is it good enough? No, by far. But now with social media, programs like this, other programs, William Cooper, Abe, and all the things that you're involved with, everyone. It's just get the voice out that we are all one. And all we want to do is protect the consumer, to have the freedom and the right to be able to enjoy a luxury product with their wife, their family, their best friend, in any moment that they chose, within certain conditions, which I understand, because I don't expect to be allowed to smoke cigars inside a restaurant any longer. I don't expect that to come back. But I think there should be a designated place where we don't affect anyone, where there's proper air circulation, where the regulations are all set, and that everybody complies, and everybody has a choice, and it's your choice.
You heard the man, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you get to your computers and sign up to the Cigar Rights of America or any other organization which will fight for your rights, make your voices heard. It's up to you, the consumers and the retailers, to jump onto this boat. I know a lot of you already have, and keep doing so. In the meantime, it's that time of the day. We're almost ready to wrap it up. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, Rich's Riot.
I get cuter every day, don't I? Wow, don't I look good? All righty. So, Nick, a couple of quick things. The first thing you should do if you wake up the next day in a different gender, I would shave. That would probably make you a little more attractive to the opposite sex. You spoke a lot about Connecticut and its history. What most people don't know is how huge cigar manufacturing was in the United States, all over the place. Our friends, the Newmans, started with Julius Caesar and his son and his grandsons, and it's just amazing. Those Buckeyes, I think there were over 100 Buckeye makers in Ohio. So there's a lot of history. I came across a box of cigars called La Prosa Kings, 50 cigars in a box, made in Ohio. Couldn't nail the factory or anything, but from all the people I spoke to, and we smoked one or two, and it was probably a clear Havana filler in there. I donated that box of 50 to a charity down in Sarasota about a year ago, and they raised a lot of money on these 1947 cigars. So that's one of the things. Jose mentioned dirty floors, and the late Bill Clowers had an expression in his shops: ashes on the floor, your ass is out the door. So keeping your store look great is very important. One other quick thing before I tell this week's story is a lot of people are telling me this is Cameroon, that is Cameroon. And I ask them from what country, and they go, huh, what? So my friend Jeremiah, if there's a way to indicate
when someone shows their blend online or anywhere else, that if it's not Meerapfel, it is not Cameroon. And it could be called Cameroon seed, but it definitely can't be called the real Cameroon. This lady goes into her priest and says, Father, I've got a problem. She says, I inherited these 2 female parrots, and the only thing they can say is, hi, we're hot. Want a date? And she was so embarrassed. She said, I don't know what to do. And the priest said, I'll tell you what, I've got 2 male parrots, and all they do all day long is sit around and recite the Bible. And he takes her in another room, and there's these 2 parrots sitting there saying their rosaries, doing their beads, and they're praying. And they turn the 2 females off into that same room, and the females immediately say, hey, we're hot. Want a date? And one parrot turns to the other and says, put down that damn Bible. Our prayers have been answered. So that's this week's story. And
amazing. Very good. Rich, thank you very much. That was fantastic.
I have one more question.
Wait. Before you go there, hold on a second. Rich, goodbye. See you next week.
I'll be here. Thank you.
See you, Papo.
All right. Now,
I have
before we go to the last question, Melanie, there's going to be a lot of people out there wondering how to rewatch this, because this show with Nick Melillo, am I saying this properly? With Nick Melillo is legendary, and we want to make sure that everybody out there can rewatch it. Please tell us how.
Absolutely, guys, please. And if you've already seen it, then just share it with a friend. All right, go to tinyurl.com/The Professor Show, and you will find our YouTube channel where you are able to subscribe, hit that bell. You'll be notified anytime we go live. Also, there's a share button. It's usually a box with an arrow. Hit that and share it with a couple of your smoking buddies. And if you're in a lounge, there you go. Do the same thing. Now, if you want to find us on Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/The Professor Show. Be sure to hit that other bell as well. Notify whenever I post any kind of live videos, whatever goes on, because, well, Fuente is very generous and they often give out prizes. So it's in your benefit to be in the know. All right. Thank you.
Nick, one last question. We were talking about it yesterday. One thing that I've admired a lot about you is, first of all, your love, your passion that you have, what you have accomplished as part of the young generation. Because like we said many times in the show, and Carlito said it more than I have, we need young people to really do great things, create great things, and what you have done, without a doubt, has been great. One of the things that I've seen and I've respected with you, that not a lot of people have committed to this, that you're very, very focused on doing brick and mortar and not going heavily discounting your product with all these websites that are out there giving everything away. And I want you to tell us why this commitment that you and 2 other friends that have been on the show have been not to give these discounts and just work with brick and mortars. What made you go that route?
I mean, I come from brick and mortar, right, Jose? So I remember back in the 90s, the issue, customers coming in saying, I can buy this on, online or from this catalog, which was, $10 over my wholesale. And I would say, listen, I couldn't even open up the door if I sold them at this price. So I understand the retailers. I understand. I've lived it, even though I didn't own my own shop. I worked for 2 women that started the shop back in the 70s. And I think it's important, right? I come from mom and pop businesses. All my family started small businesses. So I really understand the importance of supporting brick and mortar shops. And that's why I think it's so important for brick and mortars to have the fundamentals down and to create that environment for people coming into the shop. It's so important. So we really fought hard to price protect all of our products. I come from the day and age where it was, you bought a box, 10% off the box. That was pretty standard. But other than that, we price protect all of our products. And we want to, you know, online sales, I think, are just a reality of things, you know, in these days. But, you know, we try to do our best to price protect everything and support the brick and mortar shops, because I think it's so important to our industry. And that's where people go to really learn about brands and get educated. And, you know, it's really, without the brick and mortars, I don't exist. So I'm very conscious of that fact.
Nick, the past hour has snapped like the blink of an eye. We're going to have to get you back on the show, but it's time to wrap it up. And there's a few people out there which would like to say thank you.
Nick, first of all, I would like to thank you for being on the show. We go way back. We've known each other for many years. We practically worked together when Em and I were living in Nicaragua. I've had a lot of respect for you. And the only thing I can do is wish you all the best. You're very honest, hard worker, very creative. I respect your blending talents. And the only thing I can wish you, by the way, Emma sends regards, is just wishing you all the best. Keep up the great work. And in a month or so, I'm going to send you my address for a 5-pack of
all right,
of the Lanceros.
All right, please do. Jose, it's always a pleasure. It's great to see you. I'm glad you're doing well.
Oh, Nick, you know, I got scared there for a minute when I thought when he was talking about he's going to send something to you, the professor said Blanco, I thought he was going to send you his whole, you know, an application for a job and everything, because I know so much about you through Jose. He really respects and admires you and everything. I could only say that even though we don't see each other all the time, I'm in this world and I don't travel as much. I'm not out there as much in these days, but I followed your entire career. I have such a high respect and admiration for you. I appreciate everything you've done for our industry. I really think you have contributed an immense amount, as so has your colleagues like Drew, Jonathan Drew, and, you know, Steve Sacco, of course. And it goes to show you're a living example that if you believe in something, if you love something, you do it with passion, you could become among the greatest in what you love. And you're one of the greats in the cigar industry. We know your accolades, how you're respected and everything. And I think a little bit has to do that you got a little Italian blood. And you probably have a lot. But I tell you one thing, you talk about bees and everything. I grew up among the Sicilians in Old Ybor City, which is the cigar capital of the world. We call it cacciata. All the weddings and everything was cacciata. So there's a lot of things that we could identify with. But most importantly, I think we identify with a love for the industry, a hope that it has a prosperous future. And whether we're in it, where we're around, whatever it is, it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to all of us. It belongs to the future. And I believe you're the future. And I wish you the very best from the bottom of my heart. The Fuente family loves you, and we respect you, and we want to see you continue greatness, and we will see it from you.
Thank you so much. That means more than you know, Carlito. I've been a Fuente fan since '95, still am. So it means more than you could ever imagine coming from you. So I hope someday we can enjoy a cigar together and talk about Connecticut and the history of just cigars in general. It would be a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Nick, this is one of the coolest shows that I've presented in the last year. I haven't seen you in 18 years, and I can guarantee you that it's not going to take another 18 before I bump into you again. I can't wait before we sit down and have a cigar together and catch that time up and build the future together. It was a true honor and pleasure, my friend. And please be well, take care of yourself, your loved ones, and rock and roll.
Same to you. God bless. God bless. I hope we all can smoke a cigar together sooner than later. I think this would go on all day.
We will, Nick.
For 8 hours.
All right.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, another wonderful show of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Next week on the show, Jose.
Well, next week we're going to have on the show someone that everybody here knows very well. Very successful retailer, good friend of all of us here. He's not only a retailer, but now he's a farmer too. So next week we're going to have Jeff from Corona that's very excited to be on the show. So tune in next week. Everybody keep on your mask, your social distancing, and we will see you next week with our good friend Jeff from Corona Cigars.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Jose. Ladies and gentlemen, another great show of Fuente Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. We will see you next Sunday. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and of others. And remember, if you don't do it with passion, don't do it at all. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you, Nick.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye, everybody.
It was great. Fantastic. Thank you, Nick.
See you all next
Guys,
week.
thanks so much. That was